Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome back to Ange-r Management on Tottenham on Tour. On today's show, we still cannot defend set pieces. The manager has lost it finally after 34 games of a season, and let's all be miserable. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome back to Tottenham on Tour, your world-famous match review show with myself today stepping in and, of course, the stalwart of the show, Mr. Johnny. How are you doing this morning, Johnny, apart from not being in Peterborough?
Yeah, I'm not being Peter, but the highlight of the evening was my journey back with Ian Lubin, where he guided me onto a train which I thought was going on the Thames Link, and luckily we sort of got off of our phones looking at all the abuse and realised we were on the way to Peterborough, which is nowhere near where I wanted to be. So
you were just as lost as the team last night.
We had some guidance though. We had some guidance. We used the signs that told us we were going wrong. Okay, we didn't ignore the signs, and finally,
unlike set pieces, you didn't ignore the signs.
I didn't ignore the signs, and eventually I got home 2 hours after I left the ground, when really it should have been about 45, 50 minutes. Anyway, that was the highlight. Found it very funny. But as soon as I got through the door, I was back in football depression mode. But hey, we'll talk about that. Absolutely. What about the people in the room? What about the people that...
Let's see who's in the chat to join us through the show. We've got Adam McFarlane. Good to see you, buddy. Good to see you, Adam. We've got a nearban. I'm going to star your comment because it's good to hear what a Chelsea fan has to say about our absolutely woeful performance yesterday. We've got Cess's Gammy Hammy. Turned up more than last night than the rest of them. So good to see you, Ceci. We have Chris Manuel. Good to see you. Brian is not here today. Brian is probably still in bed. But we all wish Brian well. We have Daryl Denton. Good to see you, buddy. Good to see you. We got Rhythmic Renegade. Brennan Johnson. Andrew Gregory, YouTube member. Get your memberships in, people. It really helps the channel out. D&B forever. Good to see you. Ron, if my computer, Ron Vinayak. We got Mr. Sweden himself, YouTube member. Good to see you. Andrew Gregory saying we've got our Tottenham back. YouTube member. Benjamin Foster, Kate Rixham, Fran, YouTube member. Good to see you. Shem Tang, George Cardadas. Good to see you. And we've got Neil Hartley. This is how the show works on Ange-r Management. We will talk about the negatives, which are quite a lot of them today. We have the positives, not many of those. We have the special mentions. And, of course, we will talk about the man himself, Ange Postecoglou. I'm going to start with the positives first because there aren't many of them, and we'll get through those really quickly. Any positives from the game, Johnny?
Wow. Finally seeing Ange, show that he is a human being and not a robot. I actually thought we had a stuffed dummy sat there. I was watching actually on the touchline, and it's really interesting. I know Poch doesn't have many fans out there in the club now. In fact, I was interviewed along with Billy and a couple of others before the game, asking about Poch. I don't hate Poch, but I hope he fails at Chelsea. I hope big time he fails at Chelsea. But looking at the bench last night, there seemed more love, more interaction between Tony. Is it Tony Dominguez? Tony Dominguez.
It seemed that there was a bit of mojo back between them yesterday.
Yeah, but also, like the players. I mean, this is a Chelsea team that's not been performing for a long, long time, and yet they seem to be very together. Something that we are not. I just wanted to say one thing here about it's a sort of a positive, negative. I see so many people going on about the fact that Ange doesn't have the team. He doesn't have the players. He doesn't have this. He doesn't have that. Look, guys, right? I'm not saying he's had everything he wants, but let's be honest, right? He's had 2 transfer windows. Yeah. Let's analyse it, okay, shall we? Is Vicario better than Lloris?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Is Mickey van der Ven better than what we had before? 100%, right?
Yeah.
Is Udogie when he's Davis? Yes. Has Pedro Porro improved on last season? Yes. Yeah. We look at that. We look at these things, and then we brought in Maddison. He's wanted Johnson. He wanted Timo Werner. He wanted Maddison. He has had players he wanted.
The majority of that team last night was his players.
Right. So when people say, but he hasn't had, wait till he gets, I'm not saying he's got all of the players and he's got all of them. Manor Solomon, who's obviously not playing, he was another one. But to say he's had no support and he's had nothing is honestly is pushing it too far. He has had support. I don't know if there's any other positives. The fans gave it their all last night.
Absolutely.
And in that first 20 minutes, it was like a library
on the telly, from what I can hear.
Yeah, no, I mean, it was incredible. I've never heard Stamford Bridge so quiet as it was in that first 20 minutes.
It was a mausoleum.
It was a mausoleum. Yeah.
There was an anguish about the Chelsea fans. They thought we were going to turn them over.
Correct. Yeah. Correct. I mean,
that shows how bad this Chelsea team is. That turned us over last night. That shows how worried they were about that game.
So, what do you think? Any positives you can think of?
Positives. The chicken schnitzel I had was really good. I had some lovely chips with some Cajun fries. Positives. I quite like Vicario's goalkeeper kit. I thought that was a really nice kit.
Nice kit. I actually must say I did dine out in Chelsea's finest before the game. I had the Kashmiri wrap. Sounds very exotic until you look at the packaging and realise it was mutton dressed as lamb.
Works. It works.
But let's go to the negs. Let's go to
the game. You've said both of them. The only 2 positives of the game, you've said them both.
That was it.
It was shocking. Absolutely shocking performance. Let's
go to the negs.
Let's go to the negatives. I'm going to start with the negatives, actually. 16 set pieces conceded this season. 16. That is unacceptable from a club that's supposedly going to be challenging for the title next year. Anyone that thinks we're challenging for the title next year is deluded. You are in Egypt. You are in Sharm el Sheikh because you are in denial.
You are in a river in Egypt.
Absolutely. You are in denial if you think Tottenham are competing for a title next year, or even looking at a title, or even looking at a magazine with a title on it. We are absolutely shocking at set pieces. It's a fundamental part of the game. Fundamental. Every team gets corners, set pieces, and throw-ins. You've got to be somewhat good at them. You've got to have players that are good at them. They're being paid hundreds of thousands of pounds a week, and they're not being coached how to take a set piece or to defend a set piece. It is mind-boggling. Mind-boggling. But apparently we don't need a set piece coach, mate. There are bigger issues at hand than set pieces. No, they're not. Because as Kate Rixham said, I started the comment even. I was being a professional YouTuber. Chalobah said himself, we targeted their set pieces. They deliberately went for set pieces because they know getting a set piece against Tottenham is like having a penalty with an open goal because we have no clue how to defend them. That was their plan, and that's what every single team for the rest of the season is going to do against us. They are going to get set pieces because we give away stupid fouls on the edge of the box. Kulusevski, it is not acceptable. It's not acceptable.
We've given away five set piece goals in the last 3 games, and it could have been 9. And actually, I've got to correct you. I thought it was 16 set pieces, but according to Premier League and Sky Stats, we have in fact conceded 20. That was the 22nd goal we have conceded from set pieces, the 22nd, and only Sheffield United with 23 and Nottingham Forest with 26.
Yeah.
Have more. 1 clean sheet in 17 games. We are playing the fewest amount of games in 19 years. We are playing the least amount of games than any team in all 4 leagues this season. And yet, with a week to prepare for each and every game, more or less, we can't prepare anything. And I've got to be honest with you, I don't understand Ange. Is he a sadist? A masochist, should I say? Because when he's asked the question, are you set pieces are an issue, why not just acknowledge it and say, yes, but we're working on it? End of conversation. Yeah. But the denial that I don't need to work on them means that every single game where we concede another set piece goals, he's going to be asking. The focus gets magnified over and over and over again.
Like a pressure cooker.
That the setup was shambolic, right? I mean, I know the usual suspects are going to get the blame. Emerson, Richarlison.
I felt sorry for Emerson yesterday.
Emerson.
I felt sorry for him yesterday. He was a lamb to slaughter. A player that's not played weeks and weeks and weeks. You play him out of position against 2 informed players in Madueke and Cole Palmer.
2 of them. He had 2 of them on him. He had no cover. No one was covering back. Son, don't even get me started.
Yeah.
Son did not come back to cover for Emerson. The gaps and the space. As soon as Gallagher sprayed the ball, Gallagher, who no one wants, by the way, who was involved with both goals. I just think that, honestly, I hear people saying it's not to do with the manager, it's only to do with the players, but they are working on instructions. This, to me, look, this isn't a knee-jerk reaction, guys. Those who know me, I've said the same thing over and over and over again. They look confused. They do not understand what they're meant to do. They look around at each other at times. The midfield often is like Piccadilly Circus. It's so vacuum packed. There's no room for anyone to move. We can't progress the ball. We're getting that ball out wide. And I'm sorry, it is just the most frustrating football to watch. We get the ball out wide and then we can't do anything with it. Yeah. Whip the ball in first time. No, come back. Cut back.
Don't shoot.
Horseshoe football over and over again. I mean, that first half, let me just look at those first half stats because I'm sure I just got them up. Sorry, I don't normally do this, but I just wanted to see. Yeah, the first half stats, expected goals Chelsea, 1.47. Expected goals for Tottenham, 0.4. We had 3 shots, none on target. They had 11 shots, 3 on target. We could have been, I think it's fair to say we could have been 3 or 4-0 down at half time. People said I was exaggerating, but I don't think it was. I mean, how Palmer missed that early one, I'm not sure. We were in, but we did have nice possession, very nice possession. Our dual success was very good, 40%. That's how much we battled. We won 40% of the battles. This is a Chelsea team with 14 players missing.
Yep.
Their academy, the whole bench was academy, made up of players that never played before. And this is the team that got humped 5-0. 5-0.
Yeah.
I get into trouble, but all I'm saying, guys, is I want my Spurs team to win, right? I want to see progression. Okay. I see regression. I see we're going backwards. People say, "Oh, let's zoom out." Yeah, let's zoom out and start the season. Okay, that's the counterweight, isn't it? Okay, where were we last season? Yes, we were in turmoil. Yes, it was a sea of toxicity. Yes, we finished 8th. Yes, we lost Harry Kane. So when you look at it like that and you say, "Oh, would you have taken 5th last at the start of the season?" Categorically, 100% yes. But unfortunately,
it's the way we're finishing 5th, though. It's a disaster.
In the way, the problem is we have to live week by week, right? Yes, we would have taken that a year ago because of the mess we were in. Now, when we're living this every week, living this football, watching what we can clearly see is massive issues, and they're not being addressed. Progression is moving forward. I expected to start the season badly and progress over the period of time. Since the Chelsea game, which is 24 games ago, we are 11th or 12th. I can't remember. We're 11th or 12th in the form table. Yeah. Okay. That isn't,
That's not progression. This screams of Bielsa's second season at Tottenham. The first season, Bielsa, people couldn't work it out because it was so bizarre.
Yeah.
They worked it out. And then they got battered every single week, 4-0, 5-0. Players started getting injured because the training was too intense. And that's what's happening now. Players are falling like flies. Everyone's getting injured and we're getting battered every game.
I mean, it's interesting. A couple of journalists did liken Ange to Bielsa right at the beginning when we were first signing him. And listen, I had to do a lot of reading up on him. I mean, I'm a Spurs and a Rangers fan, for all you Celtic fans out there. Sorry about that. And obviously, seeing Ange win the treble with Celtic was a bit galling. But never did I ever think to myself, when we were doing the manager hunt at the beginning and, we knew Conte was going, he wasn't in my top 10. My top 3, Gallardo's gone to Saudi, and
Slot's now gone to Liverpool.
Unfortunately, now gone to Liverpool, which I'm really gutted about. And Amorim is still out in Sporting. I never thought for 1 minute, but you know what? I had to educate myself. Maybe I have to open my eyes a bit and look at it. And I'm sure, when I thought to myself, you know what? I'm being unfair here. We need to give them a fair crack at the whip. And as we went through those first 10 games, we could see, wow, this is great. And I don't know about everyone else and about you, Ben, but when we lost that Chelsea game and we lost 5 players in that one game, we all accepted those 4 losses and the one draw in the next 5 games.
We knew it was a new season, whatever you want to call it, process. It was injuries. It was massive injuries. It was unprecedented.
Yeah, and we said. I used to say to my Arsenal, Chelsea mates, whatever, we accept it. Look at the injuries we have. No worries. Wait until we get our players back. Yeah. Wait until we get our full team back.
They're back now.
I honestly think that when we got our full team back, it would get this bad, and it really is bad. I mean, listen, I'm not being dramatic. Anyone who's still got their head buried in the sand and thinks that is acceptable last night, honestly, it was shocking.
I've got a couple of super chats to read out.
Sorry,
A user. So thank you so much, A user. He said, "What is the difference between this midfield compared to when Harry Winks was in it? Ange ball. Players showed they can play at the start of the season, now in reverse. It's a myth. This way of football is a myth. It's so limited. I've said it until I'm blue in the face of multiple YouTube streams. When you train as a fullback your entire academy career, you don't suddenly think, you know what, I'm now going to be a central midfielder.
Or a 10.
Or a 10. I'm a fullback. I'm playing fullback. I've been taught the entire time when I was at Udinese to run down the wing and cross the ball in the box.
Or score goals.
Or to arrive late in the box and get a tap in. Not to play as a number 10. I'm not a number 10. Pedro Porro at Sporting Club de Portugal. I'm not a centre midfielder. I'm a wing back. I get down the line. I cross the ball in the box because I've got a mean crossing ability. But now suddenly I'm not going past my fullback and crossing the ball in. I'm playing as a number 10. What is it?
I mean, are we really to believe? Do fans really believe? I had to look into this Ange-ball thing because, you know, is it a name? Is it a phenomenon? Is it real? Is it a real tangible thing? And, you know, I had people telling me that this guy has reinvented the wheel.
Yeah.
So we have a guy from Australia who's managed in Japan, you know, Australia and in prime Scottish League and come to the Premier League.
Best league in the world.
And he has come in with a system that Pep, Wenger, Arteta, Mourinho have never blocked. None of them have seen this system before. This is a system like no other. Okay. And I had to believe it, and I doubted it. And even when I was watching it, when we were playing well, I was like, there's so many faults in this system, right? How is no one, you know, I couldn't work out, how is no one exposing us? And then Gary O'Neill went on to Sky Sports.
Monday Night Football, and he told everyone how to play against it. Yeah.
He very eloquently went on TV and said, this is the blueprint of how to kill Tottenham. As soon as Chelsea went 2-0 up, Ben, it was over. Yeah. Because, Tottenham, have the ball. You won't break us down.
Behind the ball.
Why did they do that? Because they took Richarlison off. Yeah. Right? And then they're crossing the ball for Son to play through the middle.
Yeah.
Who's won 18%. Son has got a 18% success rate in aerial duels. Yeah. You're throwing the ball up to him.
Yeah, absolutely.
Number 9.
Bizarre. And we got another super chat from A User. Thank you, A User, for the 2 super chats. It really helps us out a lot. We make poor teams look good. Sell Yves Bissouma as well. Yeah, Bissouma would be out the door for me in the summer. He'd be out the door.
So I was going to say, Ben, at the end, did you want to start some questions and then we can just do them at the end of the show quickly?
We can do that. Do that. So send us some questions in the chat and prefix them with @Tottenham on tour, and I will be able to see them.
And we can answer those rather than away.
Any more negatives in there, Johnny?
Listen, honestly, I could. We all know the set pieces. I've been banging on about it for months and months and months. I'm a stuck record. I've been peeing everybody off for months, right? I hope those people that have been giving me a hard time now realise that I actually did have a point. The mentality is wrong. The mindset is wrong. I don't know what they're working on all week, but we know the winners. We know the mental monsters who are in that team. And let's be honest, if it wasn't for Mickey van der Ven and Romero last night, God only knows what would have been. Anyway.
More negatives. We couldn't pass the ball 5 yards yesterday. And we were passing.
Didn't want the ball. It was a hot potato, Ben.
Yeah.
And what I thought was fantastic, not from us, from Chelsea, I saw the Pochettino press that I loved when he first came to Spurs. Yeah. We could not play through their press in that first 25, 30 minutes. They pressed and pressed and pressed, and we didn't know what to do with the ball.
Yeah.
And it made me sad, really, because I'm telling you, with or without him, if Poch stays next season, I truly believe that they're going to have a really good team.
Yeah. You're starting to see that the team is turning. You're starting to see that it's turning. They're starting to do the things that we did when Poch played. They're starting to press, starting to play some decent football. It's taken a lot of that. People, we love to talk injuries at Tottenham. We love to spout off how many injuries we've got and how poor Tottenham. Look how many injuries we've got. No manager can deal with this injury crisis. Chelsea's injury crisis is a laugh. That's an injury crisis.
Could you imagine Gusto playing last night? I mean, I think he's a fantastic player. I mean, he would have been ripping into us. I mean, poor old Emerson out on that left-hand side. they were going 2s up on him. Not only did they go in 2s up on him, that Palmer and Madueke were in absolute acres of space over and over again. And why isn't Ange calling him over and saying, what you do? I know he was upset about passing backwards, but I would have been more upset about the huge amounts of space. I'm going to Liverpool on Sunday. I'm going to see my doctor later just to check if I have a mental issue, because I think there must be something wrong with me. I fear we could be 3-0 down at half time.
Yep. We are going to get hiding versus Liverpool at the weekend.
I mean, every time. I don't know those numbers, the numbers, because I thought it was 16 set-piece goals we conceded, but Sky is saying it's 22. What's that say? You fans are so fickle.
Yeah, it's a troll account. Just leave it.
Yeah, it says 22.
Yeah.
22 goals conceded from set pieces, excluding penalties.
Yeah.
Arsenal have conceded 5.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a reason they're going for the title, and they don't play brilliant football. They win games for having a good defence and scoring set pieces. They're basically like Sean Dyche's team on steroids, but it works.
Stavro, what you're saying is 100% true, but I've got to say, I used to call Porro the pantomime defender because he's always behind him. But in fairness, he was so inverted at times, trying to play the ball forward. All you needed to do was play the ball out wide, and Mudryk and Nonoweki were having a field day. And let's be honest, with some better finishing, it could have easily been 3 or 4 at half time.
Yeah.
They had 11 shots in that first half alone. It was embarrassing. Come on, it was embarrassing.
Absolutely. Pen need me holiday suggestions. Yes, go on holiday. Go on holiday.
Ryan, we'll hit you.
All negative. Do you want to just go on to the special mentions, Johnny? Because we're going to have a fair few of them. Let's go on to the special mentions. Special mentions. I'm going to say it. Son Heung-min. Absolutely shocking. If he has 3 more games like that this season, he's got to go.
Shocking Min.
Yeah. He's got to go. He's been anonymous the last 5-6 games, like literally not done anything. He is my favorite. He's the player I wanted to be the captain at the club. But I think the only possible way that we're going to move forward as a club is just by getting rid of everyone. And that's including Sonny. As much as I love the geezer, as much as he's been a fantastic servant for us, 400 games at the club, it's possibly time for him to go. That's not acceptable. He was up against a 17-year-old yesterday. A 17-year-old put him in his pocket and said, "Come on, Grandad, let's go to Disney World." That's what happened.
When he was picking him up off the floor, he was like, "Come on, get up." I mean, it was like, are you having a laugh? This is a South Korean international, world player, all the multiple awards, and he's been picked up off the ground by a 17-year-old who schooled him, who absolutely schooled him. And it was embarrassing. It was embarrassing. Heung-min gone.
Yeah.
I mean, look, the one good thing is, think about all the shirt sales, think about all the revenue, thinking about all those Korean fans. The Skywalk. Look, if Son wasn't there, think about all the empty seats there would be. Think about all the fans, the away fans who would suddenly be able to get tickets that couldn't. It would be a disaster. Look, I think Son is a squad player. I wouldn't be getting rid of him because Levy's not going to get rid of him. But what I would say,
what this comment from Ange-r has said.
Yeah, he's not.
Another super chat, Ange-r. You don't need to put all your money as super chats, but thank you so much.
Ange-r, thanks very much. Thanks very much for the super chat. No, I wouldn't get rid of him. But what I'm saying is, bring him out, something, put him under wraps and bring him out like 10, 15 times a year in certain games, nice and fresh, smelling the roses, and then throw him in. Yeah. But how many games, how much do you have to watch? And I've got to be honest, when I saw Richarlison coming off, and I know Richarlison's going to get a lot of stick, but when I saw him coming off and Sonny going into the middle, it's laughable.
Oh, sorry, Johnny. Sorry, I got it wrong. I put my hands up.
Sorry, he's 18.
He's not 17 years old. He's 18 years old. Okay. Yeah, I apologise. This is Tottenham on Tour's world famous apology video from the cough. I need some water.
We apologise here more than.
I need to put some water on my face to pretend I'm crying. Sorry, guys.
Look, 18 years of age.
Yeah.
Listen, it doesn't matter. He's very inexperienced, and
his first ever game for the club, and he dominated him.
Was that his first start?
It was his first start. It was his first game in a Chelsea shirt.
I mean, thank God Gusto wasn't playing last night, and thank God a couple of the others weren't playing, because I actually feel embarrassed. And luckily, Palmer didn't. I was worrying about that all night. Yeah. That's all I kept seeing in my dreams the night before.
Because you were cold, Johnny. You got to wear a jumper when you go to stand. It's cold up there, mate. It's cold up there. Right, your special.
My second one, I'm going to say it, and this is going to be a strange one. Giovanni Lo Celso.
Yeah.
What the hell is going on? Right? We couldn't create anything in that midfield. Kulu was just tripping over and giving away free kicks. He could have been booked after about 10 minutes. He made about 4 tackles that were shocking. The referee seemed to let everything, pull up for everything. And yet he must have blown the whistle 50 times in that game, if not more. And he didn't get booked. Then he brings on Maddison, who was absolute toilet. He was absolute toilet. And then I wanted Lo Celso to start. And I don't believe the system suits Maddison.
Yeah.
I mean, Ange wanted to sign a player that needs space in that midfield to operate. And he's compressed that midfield that he can't play. Gio is a guy that doesn't need 4 touches of the ball. He can flick the ball with the outside of his right foot, or flick it with the.
He loves smaller spaces, doesn't he?
He likes
to maraud in those smaller spaces.
Like, what I know is he came on in the 87th minute, guys,
and more chances created.
Three chances in that 87th minute than anyone else in the entire other 87 minutes. In those 3 minutes, he created more than everyone else in that 87.
Oh, for God's sake, I've got to do 2 apology videos in the same stream. Damn it.
Yeah. So, listen, my point here is that what is Ange on? What is he doing? What is he doing? He has a tool in his arsenal. Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to say that. He has a tool in the box that he refuses to use. And, he's come on, Gio, on these cameos, and he's been absolutely superb. He's been absolutely superb. And then what bloody happens? The next game, he gets dropped. There's no
meritocracy, is there, Johnny? He plays his favourites. There's no meritocracy.
Listen, honestly, I watched Maddison when he came on, and I was keeping an eye on him. It was shambolic again. Absolutely shambolic. I'm sorry. This is a crime. This is a crime against football right now. You've got a guy on the pitch that when he's fit, starts for Argentina, right? This is a guy who dragged Villarreal to the semi-finals of the Champions League, practically single-handed. Has he been a success at Tottenham? No. Has he been injury prone? Yes. I can give you all the negatives, but the positives are, at the beginning of this season, I said Gio is perfect for Ange-r. Why? Because he's a progressive coach, plays progressive football, and he is that type of guy who can change the game. Ange turns around and says, I don't have any... I mean, this was another thing Ange says, people seem to forget. I don't have anyone in my squad who can actually change a game, that can turn a game on its head.
Yeah.
What sort of insult's that? You just signed about 10 players. You signed Maddison. Well, Gil before Lo Celso. If Gil's going, why didn't you give Mikey Moore 10 minutes?
Yeah.
Give Mikey Moore 10 minutes. Give him some minutes. I mean, really, honestly. Gio Lo Celso, I don't care. Gio Lo Celso needs to start against Liverpool. I don't care if we lose. I just want to give the guy minutes. I want him to show what he's got, right? Semi-rant over.
Who do you go for next? Yves Bissouma. Yves Bissouma. What a fraud. What a fraud. Sideways and backwards. He is a Malian Harry Winks. He is awful. He was brilliant in the first 10 games of the season after a new lease of life. And suddenly he's playing is the crab. Absolutely shocking. And people went mad at Antonio Conte. And loads of people you can say that he was wrong in many ways. There's one thing he was right on, and that was Yves Bissouma. He was absolutely on the money, nail on the head. Absolutely no passion, no concentration, no work ethic. He is awful. He's just languid. He is dreadful.
You know, it's quite
absolutely dreadful.
You know, what's funny, Ben? I mean, I have to hold my hands up. You know, when Conte turned around and said, you know, he was our first signing that summer. Right, our very first signing, and we were all raving, wow, Spurs are doing business early. You know, I don't care about it. Listen, I've gone past, it was a figure of speech. What was that? Someone says, good, I don't care about losing to Liverpool. Was that said? No, the one before. I don't know.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
You don't care if we lose against Liverpool because we will. Listen, of course I care. But I've got to the stage, Howie, right, where I've become numb, right? When you go away games and you have to suffer this over and over again, this demoralisation. I mean, was it 8 games away from home? I've lost count what we've done. But going back to Bissouma, just quickly, when Conte, we signed him, our first signing, and in September he still hadn't played a game, and Conte came out and he said, he doesn't understand my system. And I'm going, I really gave Conte a hard time over it. I said, well, what do you mean he doesn't understand his system? You know, he's played at Lille. He was unbelievable. He was a progressive midfielder, scoring goals, creating. And then when he went to Brighton, he became then this defensive midfielder. And I thought we were going to have this hybrid. He's an international. How can he not know football? You know what? He was absolutely spot on. Because if he didn't understand Conte ball, he certainly does not understand Ange ball, right? Because they all look bloody confused. All of them. They all look confused. They're all looking at each other. Do I pass it to you? Do I pass wide? You know? What do I do?
I've got no clue what they're doing.
Do you know who did point it? I'm sorry.
They might as well as learn Coptic. They might as well as learn Coptic Egyptian language. That's what they're doing. It's like they're reading hieroglyphics.
They don't understand what's going on. And do you know what's quite funny, right? I sort of go back to him. But when Gio came on last night in that 87th minute, he was pointing to players where they should be. He was shouting at them, go there. And then he got frustrated when they weren't making the runs and they weren't going where. And, you know, guys next to me were saying, Gio's telling you where to go and you're not even going there. There's confusion. Bissouma is a confused individual. Too much Louis Vuitton. Too much DJing, right? He needs to go back to basics of football. He's not the 6. We need a 6. He is not it. Okay.
We've got a chat from Martin Knightsbridge, €2. Thank you so much, Martin. Big up, mate. I need to give you a shout to see if I can get you some of those ladies' tickets. I'm on the case for you, sir, if I can do it. Ange needs to suck up his pride and find a way. Absolutely. You can't have never managed in a top 5 league and think your system is God's gift to humanity. Because if it was God's gift to humanity, you would have managed in a better league by now at the age of 58. I know that's ageism, but I don't care. I'm 29, but I feel about 80 watching Tottenham. Hashtag turn off you Spurs.
I don't care about the age. I care about the experience. So my one that I'm going to go for now, I've praised him for the vast majority of the season. But recently, since teams have worked out to press, I thought I thought Vicario had a poor game last night. He made a very good save, right? He made one really good save. His kicking was atrocious. In that first half, he put the ball out. He pushed the ball too far. I don't know. I don't know what happened to him last night. I think it was all-round team thing. But yeah, his kicking and his distribution was absolutely shambolic. I mean, there was one stage where he threw the ball straight to a Chelsea player. I haven't watched the game back because I'm not going to go and do any more self-harming. I haven't even looked at the game stats apart from I took a picture of it before we came on. But I thought Vicky had a poor game. It was poor. It was poor. What were you thinking?
He was dreadful last night. He was terrible. He at least he showed a bit more fight at set pieces than he usually did, but that's because Chelsea are terrible. Imagine if we were against a good set piece side, it would have been a long evening for him. Or at least he would have massaged his back muscles by constantly lifting in the ball in and out of his net. It wasn't he. Yeah, he was not at the races. It shows of a keeper that knows his defenders don't care about defending. They've got no pride in defending. They don't care. The clean sheets, forget about. There's no space in the washing machine anymore, Johnny, to clean the sheets back up. There's no space. They're going to have to go and get another hot point at this rate because there's no room for your clean sheets.
Do you know what? I'm just going to say, the one thing that Ange refuses to do, and we keep getting done by it every single week, the shithousery last night from Chelsea was fantastic.
Yeah.
I can't stand him, but Cucurella last night.
Brian Daigle.
What?
That's what he looks like.
Cucurella last night. I was videoing him in the box, and he's like pushing, right? Defending us and defending the corner, and no one even touched him. He's gone down. He's rolling around. The referee's given a free kick. He's done it twice. But he mixed the shithousery with being a fantastic... I thought he was outstanding.
He was really good yesterday.
He was really, really good. He nullified everything, every attack. Brennan Johnson turned into Brenda again last night, I'm afraid. Next
person.
Go on.
Let's go for Pierre-Emile Højbjerg. One of the things Gary Neville said immediately was Højbjerg's first 3 touches were awful. And
he did recover, though. He did recover. In fairness, you're right. We were counting them.
He was absolutely dreadful. He screamed of a player that's not there next year. He is checked out. He's in Marbella on the Sun Lounger with some nice Viking flavoured tattoos and what's it called, sun lotion. He's on holiday. He's gone. He was a player that didn't care last night. At the first 3 touches, summed up his entire game. Abysmal. Yes, it's not his fault totally.
I think to single him out. He came on and he was shocking. You can't deny it. He did recover. Those incidences and got the ball back, but didn't excuse it. But there was just a general malaise throughout the whole team. Really, it's just shambolic. Look, we all thought when Ange came, he came in and he was declared the Messiah before we kicked the ball. Yeah. And there I was thinking he was going to turn water into wine. And now I see we're turning champagne into piss. Right? Yeah. That's what I'm looking at now, because you're not going to tell me Destiny's a bad player. You're not going to tell me that some of these players are shocking players, but there's something not right. There is a belief now that there is disbelief in Ange. It comes across as, we saw rumours that not everyone is buying into Ange-r, right?
Yeah.
Did he not say so himself?
Yep.
Right. So what is that? So is that translating onto the pitch?
Yeah, of course it is.
I think it is. And it's not. So what I'm trying to say here is, I know when Ange comes at the end, but my point here is that I think it's affecting all of the players.
He's asking you about your thing, saying that he's still 20. He's still 21, 22, and he's been one of our better midfielders.
He's just 21.
And he's been one of our better midfielders this season.
I didn't say he's the next. I said he reminds me of baby Vieira. Yeah, the way he runs. He's 21 years of age. He's got a lot of
football to play in his career. I love Pape Sarr. Yesterday he was none of the midfielders were good yesterday, but he's been one of our. No wonder his back hurts because he's been carrying Basuma all season.
Listen, I've got no problem. I said it. I hold my hands up, and I still think that Sarr is a quality young player, and he will go on to have a really, really good career. I don't doubt that. I'm just not sure it's going to be with this manager, unfortunately.
He needs a manager that cares about defence, because Sarr has one of his brilliant things is he knows how to get back and plug gaps. He's not
box to box. He's a box to box midfielder. And listen, look, I just think and
it's even more disrespectful, Johnny, because he's been brilliant this year, and there's constant leaks from the club that they want Conor Gallagher. If we spend 60 million on Conor Gallagher, which is what his price is going to be because of the Tottenham tax, Pape Sarr's going on the bench because we've got to play him. So imagine what Pape Sarr thinks. I'm playing really well this year, and now you're trying to replace me with a blonde-haired. What's it called?
Listen, you knew. I actually like Conor Gallagher. I know you don't.
No,
but you just knew that last night Conor Gallagher was going to have a great game.
Of course he was. He hates Tottenham. He's a Chelsea boy. Of course he hates Tottenham.
And he had a great game last night. He had a great game. But I'm worried that, there's a cancer again. We said, look, it's the same old thing with the club. We've gone on about this many, many times. It's the same old Tottenham, the players turning their back on the manager. Yes, but most of those players are gone, guys.
Yeah.
Most of those players are gone.
There's only one of that leadership team left, and it's Howery, and he's gone at the end of the season.
And Ben Davis. Ben Davis. He's too busy reading books.
Yeah.
I don't know. I really don't know. I thought Mickey van der Ven got us out of trouble 4 or 5 times. He was probably, I don't know what anyone else thought, because I didn't watch it on the game. I was trying to bury my head, but I thought he was probably our man of the match.
Yeah, he always is. He's going to get a career-ending injury because of the amount of ground he has to cover, because we can't defend.
Couple of games, I guess, that there, one of which was.
We're not going to talk about other channels, though. We're not going to talk about other channels. Everyone has a right to their opinion. We just like to shout a lot on this channel. But
what's this? What was that last one? It's a cancer. It's a cancerous rot. It's a cultural rot of the club. Mate, you're right. But my point here is it the cancer from the top? Because these aren't the same set of players. What we've said all along is it's the same group of players getting the same managers thrown out year after year after year. And I totally agree. That is it. And that has been the culture. But what do you do when you've cut out the cancer and you've had your chemo? You've got new cells and you've got new people, and that the cancer is returned. Why? I mean, if I was Romero, I'm leaving. Right? I'll be honest with you. I think Mickey van der Ven has got another year in him. But if I'm Romero and I can play for Barcelona, Real Madrid, Bayern Munich, he could play for any team in the world. I'm leaving.
I'm Radu Dragishin. I'm leaving this summer. I'm putting in a transfer request and I'm leaving.
What is that? What is this? This is a guy that played every single game for Genoa.
And he was one of their better players as well.
He's turned down Bayern Munich. He's watching Bayern Munich on the TV. He's watching Bayern Munich on the
final.
He's watching Eric von Dyer, right, playing centre-back, right, for Bayern Munich, and likely could win a medal. And I'm sat here, he'd be playing. He'd be playing right now. He'd be playing in the Champions League right now. Instead, he sat on the bench. For me, I know, listen, I know it's a, you know, a make wait until we get a 6. But as I said to you before, I would have played Dragusin with Mickey van der Ven, and I would have pushed Romero into the 6 role, because he would have been in there winning those balls. But there are players being treated.
It's like when, Ledley King used to play in the Christmas tree under Terry Venables.
Yeah,
you can do that.
I don't like what's going on at the club. I don't like what I'm seeing. You know, what message does it say when you can have a bad, terrible game after game after game from Sonny, from Maddison, and yet players like Gio and others, Donnelly, you know, can't even get a minute. And I don't know what's the message to Brian Gill? Do you know what? I was with my son last night and he said to me, Dad, he said, what is the chance of Brian Gill getting on to play football tonight? I said, there's more chance of Madonna flying over and parachuting.
You really love Madonna today, John.
I was like, Madonna's my go-to just this week. I said,
Madonna's coming on the show this week. So tune in. Bank holiday edition of Ange-r Management. It's going to be Johnny and special guest host Madonna.
I said, there's absolutely no chance that Brian Gill's going to get on.
Yeah.
And when we saw him warming up, I was like, what the hell? This is a guy you've said is make weight, and he's gone. Yet he got on before Gio and Mikey Moore. Why didn't you put Mikey Moore on?
I'd love to see Mikey Moore yesterday.
We would have liked to have seen
him play.
Yeah, break the record. Youngest player, 16 years of age. I don't know if he would have broken Alfie Conn. Was it Alfie Conn was 16 years of age? Can't remember who broke the record. Yeah, but I'm sure someone in the chat will tell us.
Yeah. The next special mention. I'm going to mention Emerson Royale because I think he's not my favourite. I don't like Emerson Royale as a footballer. I don't think he's anywhere near good enough for this football club. But I felt sorry for him yesterday. He's not played in weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks.
Yeah.
They played him out of position and no one in front of him to cover.
2 months, Ben. 2 months since he's played.
Yeah. And they expect him to do a job on Cole Palmer, on informed Cole Palmer, the best player in the league at the moment, in my opinion, individually. And Madueke, who's got speed to burn.
Yeah.
That was a lamb to slaughter. That showed of a manager that's throwing his players under the bus.
But it wasn't even... Yeah, I was just going to say, Ben, what I was just going to say was, you know, when he was 2v1, you would have expected someone to come across to give him the cover.
Whether it's Sarr or Basuma to drop.
They just slipped the ball past him. Palmer, he would be 1-on-1 against Palmer, and he would try to challenge one of them. He had 2 to go for, and then he had to wait for Palmer to slip the ball to Madueke, and they supposedly tried to get back to stop Madueke crossing the ball.
Yeah.
It was acres of space.
I felt so sorry for him because, of course, he's going to play terribly. What do you expect? What do you expect him to be Ledley King and not play for 2 months and be man of the match?
Was he to blame? Was he to blame for any goal? No. Was he to blame for any of it? No.
But what do they expect him to do when he's got 2 players on him? We've got a comment from Callum Roche. Good to see you. There are no other fullbacks. Play 3 at the back then. Play your 3 centre-backs. Play someone at left wing-back. Play Parr at right wing-back. And then you've got you've got Mickey van der Ven who could then come out to that left-hand side to cover.
Left-sided centre-back of the 3.
Yeah.
Yes. And guess who's played in a 3 for Genoa?
Yep.
Dragusin.
Yeah.
Right?
So that's how it works. You can use that. It's one of those things we've been saying. One of the comments, which I actually starred earlier. Where is it? From Rob Frank. It's really no one can tell me virtually any other manager would get. If Conte, I know Johnny's not the biggest fan of Conte. He wanted him out as well. He wanted him out. Loads of people wanted him out, and I understand your point of view. if Conte had this back three, he would be laughing. He would love this back three. He would have his ball progressor in Romero. He'd have his stature in the middle that wins every single header at a corner, and he'd have his guile, his Bastoni in a Mickey van der Ven. He would love this back three. He would love them three. He'd think that's absolutely fantastic.
But Rob, I can't agree with you. I agree with Ben. I honestly, as I said before, he's turned champagne into piss, right? Yeah. I expected him to turn water into wine. Mickey van der Ven, Romero, they're not bad players. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I mean, why is it James Maddison, right, who, is a good player, but why is it James Maddison has got his worst return ever as a footballer? 4 goals, right? 4 goals. It's shocking. And let's be honest, Ange wanted Brennan Johnson. I've tried not to call him Brendan Johnson.
Yeah. Should I invite David on? Because David really wants to go in on Brendan Johnson, which is always even funnier. But
listen, I think he did the work. He gets the ball, but it's about end product. It's very, very, very poor. I don't think that this team. Listen. I want my manager to be looking at the team ahead, the week ahead. We are playing Wolves. Wolves play like A. Let's exploit X, Y, Z. Yeah. They will look to play. What was our weakness when they played our system? Let's adapt accordingly.
Yeah.
It doesn't do that, right? This is our game plan. This is how we play. It is what it is, mate.
Yeah.
It is what it is, mate. Well, I'm sorry. It is what it is, mate. We are getting done week in, week out with the same stuff. It's eat, sleep, repeat. Eat, sleep, repeat. And when you're going to these games, even if you're watching on TV, you know how painful it is when you're just watching it on TV. Imagine having to go to these games. I go to away games. I don't go to every away game. I go to a lot of away games. There are guys going up and down this country that go to every single game and having to endure this. And they are quite entitled to have their say about what they're seeing every week. And I don't think, look, it's not all on Ange, but let's be honest, it's his message.
He said at the beginning of the season, everything's on me.
Well, it is on him because it's his mythology, isn't it? It's his ideology that they're trying to to adapt. And they looked like 11 lost souls on that pitch. Let's be honest.
Yeah, absolutely. We've got a membership super chat from Mr. It's KPV. Good to see you, Carl. Hopefully you're doing well. He's saying, big up, lads. Hope you're well. I have gone on loan to Real Madrid for the rest of the season. Hopefully you are okay. Well, at least the sun's shining there, KPV. At least the sun is shining. Who's your next? Brendan
Johnson, honestly. Brendan Johnson, right? Last night he was Brenda. Pushed off the ball, bullied off the ball, couldn't cross the ball. He got into positions. I just want it to go past him. He's not a £47 million. Go back one. What's that one? Johnny, what?
Here.
Can you make an observation of the Spurs players' body language on Sunday, especially Madison report after the game review? Yeah, okay, 100%, Huey. Look, some people say I've been really harsh on Avon calling. Some people say I've been really harsh on Brennan Johnson. When you sell Harry Kane. When you sell Harry Kane and then you get £47 million spent on a guy who's not returning what he's returning, I don't think he's a £47 million player. Listen, for me, if you gave me £50 million, when I did my list, I've got my list of my players for this season who I'd like to see at the club. My list from last season, I can assure you, he wasn't anywhere near my top picks. Okay, Elise, Eze, You know, I could list them, the players, Nico. There's a few. He wasn't on it. When he came, I wasn't very happy. And I, you know, got to give the guy a chance. I really wanted this player, says Ange. I see something in him. I don't see it. I don't see it. I didn't see it then. I tried to accept it. We are now 30, what are we, 34 games in, Ben? 34 games in. I still don't see it. I still don't see it. I really don't. No, for me, I can see it if a new manager came in. Maybe the system, maybe in a different system, he will be better. I don't think Ange ball works. It's too congested, that midfield. No one can operate. And when you put the opposition goes into that midfield, it's just too congested and we're not winning the ball. There was so much space out wide for him and Sonny on the weekend, last night. And yet he just couldn't deliver. We didn't have a shot in that first half. Look how many times he got that ball in that first half and he couldn't deliver anything. Thoughts?
That's my thoughts. And it's the same for the rest of them.
Can I just do a quick mention on everyone's prime target, Richarlison? Richarlison had absolutely no service. I think he had one ball which he tried to get to. But the one difference was he was holding the ball up. When the ball went to his feet, he held the ball up. And, you know, the one thing is, that's the one thing we've been missing for so many weeks, the ability to hold the ball up. But when he holds the ball up, there's no one coming in to support him to feed off. You know, you've won the ball, players come from midfield, receive the ball, let him turn and go. But no, he passes the ball to them and they're passing it backwards. Or they're passing it sideways and then the ball's not coming in. I don't know. I think we're going to have big problems.
Yeah.
I just pray that Ange doesn't lose the plot and then suddenly decide we're going to win at all costs. We're going to win against Man City and win
Arsenal League. It'd be funny, that, wouldn't it?
Yeah. Could you imagine the memes?
That's what I say. If Ange wins the league, takes off his suit, and he's got an Arsenal shirt under it, and he goes, "Come on, you Gunners, mate." I just couldn't see it on.
It is what it is, mate.
It is what it is,
Fat
mate.
Boy
With his
Aussie
Arsenal
wins
shirt
Arsenal
on.
the title. Fat Boy Aussie wins Arsenal.
He's been Mr-onised. I always thought it's Captain Black. Obviously, Ange died on the plane, and they've created Ange is a Mr-on. He's the Mr-on.
This is the voice of the Mr-ons. I hope you can hear it.
Absolutely. A gentle reminder before we go on to the man of the moment, Ange Postecoglou. There are on YouTube 181 people watching, so please like and subscribe. It really helps us out a lot. And please subscribe to our second channel over at the Coffee Company. It would really help me out a lot. We're trying to get to 700 subscribers, and it would be really kind. You could just pop that link there. You don't even have to leave the stream, and you can just give me a sub. It costs absolutely nothing, and it would really help the guys and myself out. Let's go on to Ange Postecoglou then. We might as well.
Look, I often say that, you know, fans often say we have to back the manager 100%, okay? And I always say I don't believe in backing the manager 100%. And what I mean by that is you back the manager 70%. And what you do is you give the manager 70% of what he wants, and 30% is money spent on players that we are looking at for our future. Okay. The problem has always been at Spurs. That doesn't work with the 70-30. If you're going to have, you know, if Fabio is buying progressive players to play in a progressive system, and then you get a pragmatic coach. So if he doesn't work here, I hope he does turn it around, but if he doesn't, you cannot then bring in a pragmatic coach. Whoever comes in after Ange must be an attacking coach. He must be, because that squad that's there is an attacking squad. It's designed for an attacking squad. And that's why, you know, I'm a little bit skeptical to give Ange 100%. Give 30%. Let Fabio.
Well, what you do is you buy clubs that are going to fit the philosophy of the club.
Correct.
And then you bring a manager that fits that philosophy. The club has the philosophy. Because
let's be honest, he wanted Maddison and he wanted Brennan Johnson. You know, that's sort of 80 million pounds spent on those two players, more or less. 47, more or less. They haven't returned.
Yeah.
Then look at what, you know, Fabio's brought in. Look, I'm very, very worried. I'm very worried about the comments, you know, that he doesn't feel that he needs to work on set pieces. Why expose yourself to the media in that manner?
Yeah.
You know, just say, guys, we acknowledge it's not right. That's all you need to say. I acknowledge it's not right, and we're working on it. End of conversation. But by constantly saying, it is what it is, mate. I don't. What do you mean? Who's laughing there? Go back to that one.
Scott Nelson saying we all laughed at Arteta for his touchline behaviour. We don't laugh at it, we just hate it.
No. The Ange wanted Brennan Johnson. He did.
Yeah. He did.
Stuart, mate. He wanted him. He made the call to him to get him to come. So I'm not sure quite. You know, and let me tell you something. Daniel Levy.
We offered for Trossard £12 million.
Correct. Yeah.
12 million quid.
And here's
we
the flip
offered
of that.
Less money for Trossard, who's going to possibly win the league at Arsenal, less than what we might pay for Timo Werner.
Listen,
if I'm Leandro Trossard, I write a really funny note. I go to the club and I put a CD of the Laughing Policeman through the front door at Tottenham. I would be insulted if I was Leandro Trossard for how little money they offered for him.
Do you know what? Can I just say what is interesting? Because we all go on about Daniel and his spending and all that. And as you rightly say, he bid 12 million for Trossard. Yet, 12 million for Trossard. Yet, when Nottingham Forest had accepted a bid of 35 million from Brentford, for Brennan Johnson, and Brennan Johnson turned the move down. Not Nottingham Forest.
Yeah,
they did. Ange wanted him, and therefore we had to go back, and Daniel tight-ass Levy had to then go and spend another 12 million on top. He had to pay 12 million pounds more than the price that had already been accepted for Brennan Johnson from Brentford. So to say that Ange didn't want him, he made it very clear he wanted him. He's made it clear in press conferences. So don't come up with he's not been given. These are Levy signings, because it was not a Levy signing.
They're not club signings.
And we would not pay £12 million over an agreed price that had already been offered by someone else unless someone was desperately wanting him. And that's what Ange wanted. And he has not delivered a £47 million return so far. Hopefully he will, but so far I'm not seeing it.
Absolutely. We have Martin Knightsbridge with another €2 super chat saying the attacking team that cannot finish their dinner. Absolutely right. Thank you so much, Martin. Really helps us out a lot.
They can't even lay the table, Martin, about they finish their dinner.
Solomon still has an MCL injury and he's still recovering from that. He might not be worse than Werner, but he costs nothing in the transfer market and he's not on 160 grand a week. I don't know what Manuel Solomon is on. I think he's on probably something like 60, 70 maybe. Timo Werner is on 160 grand a week and he took 100 grand a week pay cut to come to Tottenham. 160 grand a week for Timo Werner. Nah, thank you. Nah. I know it's not my money, but that's just a waste of money. Absolutely shocking.
He didn't take a pay cut, by the way, because RB paid percentage of his. So
he's still on 260 grand a week. Then
it's 100. He's on 170 grand a week. He's on, I believe.
But yeah, it's too much money. My thoughts on Ange Postecoglou before we go to the questions. It's unacceptable, his performance yesterday from the manager. We've now, what was it, 5 in 3 games we've conceded, something like that?
5 in 3, and it could have been 8 or 9 in 3, yeah.
When you think that and you saw how bad we were at the weekend, you know what? Spend at least half an hour on some set pieces.
Change something.
Change something. Have a bit of a workout. See what's going wrong. Talk to the leadership crew, which he has assembled. This is not an old leadership crew. This is his leadership crew. And he wants the players to sort it out themselves on the pitch. Speak with the leadership team and see why they are conceding set pieces. Start coaching them. Because the more he does not coach set pieces, the more he's looking like a bit of a fool. Because he said, next year, I want to be looking at a title challenge. We are again, I refer back to my comments at the beginning of the stream. If you think we're in a title challenge next year, you are in a river in Egypt, in denial. We are nowhere near 22 points off of the top? 22 points off the top? That is
any guarantee we're finishing.
You might as well not be in the same division. We're so far away from the top. We're only not competing for anything next year. If we cannot, because what are let's say big games? Let's say you get to a final next year, hypothetically. Big games are won by set pieces because you play very cagey football. You don't go all out attack because you've got a bit of nerves. Most goals that are scored in finals are scored by set pieces, and we do not give a damn about them. And you can see that they don't give a damn because they look like they haven't got a single clue.
Arsenal are going to win the title probably on set pieces.
Yeah.
Okay.
Set pieces and solid defence.
Well, set pieces. Listen, look, Everton are 17th or wherever they are in the league, 17th in the league. Yet they have one of the best records in defending set pieces and one of the best records at scoring set pieces. So to say it's not important is absolute bananas in my mind. I mean, it really is. Oh, Ange not got a clue at the moment. I hope it changes. I really do, but I don't see changing. Listen. We've said it before. You know, had he gone to a back three and taken a risk and it hadn't come off, I think most fans would have said, you know what?
At least you tried something.
Yeah, at least you tried something. We've had one game a week most of the season. We played the least amount of games in 19 years, guys, and we are shot to bits. What's he doing in training?
Yeah.
In training. What is he doing? What is he doing? What are they working on? What's the master plan? I don't understand. I don't see anything original. I see a guy who's trying to be different for different sakes. You haven't reinvented the wheel. You haven't come up with a system that no one else has done. The reason why no one's ever done this system is because it doesn't bloody work, right? Yeah. My backs, you know, I don't want to see Destiny Udogie as a 10. I don't want to see Pedro Porro as a 10. I've seen Destiny Udogie at Udinese hugging that wing, causing absolute havoc. Yeah. Right? Rated one of the best young defenders in Europe as a back. Right now, he's not. It's the blueprint of the future.
Yeah.
Flipping hell, honestly.
Look, inverted fullbacks. I hate inverted fullbacks. If you can play one, I know City had a bit of joy with João Cancelo for a season, but then they had Kyle Walker playing as a. You can't play both of them. One of them has to be a fullback.
Look how often. Yeah, I was just going to say, Ben. Look how often every season, right? Pep is changing something. You know, He was the one that pushed John Stones into the middle of the park. He was the one that did the inverted fullbacks. This season, he's got the centre backs like going forward. Gavin Wright again scoring a goal again the other week, right?
Yeah.
He changes it up every week. He doesn't say it is what it is, mate, in Spanish. Right?
No, he probably says, I don't know how you say it in Spanish. I need to remember.
But what I'm saying is he adapts, he evolves, everything evolves. Football evolves, iPhones evolve, everything evolves. He's not evolving. This is how I play football, mate. Yeah. This is how it is, mate.
Yeah.
Right? Well, it isn't, right? No. It's not working.
Football is not black and white. It changes constantly.
Adapt or die.
Yeah.
Let's go to the questions.
Yeah, absolutely. We've got a couple of them. If you want to send your questions in, please preface it at TOT and then write your question. A user has just said, what has gone wrong? Everything.
But is that Chelsea game really the catalyst at White Hart Lane? Was that really the catalyst? Because there were questions being asked then.
The catalyst was Gary O'Neill going on Monday Night Football.
Well, that was it. But I remember, I don't know if you remember, Ben, but when they were analysing afterwards the game, they said, was him saying, I would have played like that if I had had 5 players, right? Yeah. When he was going gung-ho. They said at that time, was that bravado or was that, or was that bravado or, being foolhardy, or was that, did he really truly believe that? And they were saying he doesn't truly believe that.
Yeah.
Right? But he obviously does. He obviously does. He's not for changing. And he was quite happy to lose that game. Was it 5-2 in the end or 4-2? I can't even remember. 4-2?
4-1, wasn't it?
4-1, sorry, yeah. 4-1, sorry, yeah. But he was happy for that.
Yeah.
He came away from that game happy. And I'll be honest with you, I stood there to the end, as I normally do, and clapped him off. I didn't stay for the Chelsea game. I didn't stay to the end. And Tottenham away, still, I don't always agree with you, but Scott Munn, 100%. He's Munn too clever. Just another Monday. Honestly,
wish it were a Monday.
Yeah, just another.
I don't wish it was Sunday, actually, because Sunday we can get battered again.
Just another manic Monday. Munn,
absolutely.
No football background at all. He's been hired as a yes man to carry the flak. This is a guy that's worked in Japan, worked at the Olympics, did a bit of swimming. Was it a bit of rugby?
Yeah, rugby.
Fantastic synergy.
Football.
Yeah.
Hand mandolin.
Honestly, that's just, he's been the spokesperson. How many times has he spoken? I'll tell you what's going to happen. They're going to drive, the next one they'll be driving out is Fabio. Then we really will be in the shit pit.
Absolutely. Phil P has got a question. Woo! Has Maddis been shite since he got a mullet? At least he looks stylish.
I don't know whether... I don't know.
I don't think he's fit.
If you spoke to Leicester fans, most Leicester fans weren't overly gutted when he left, funny enough. When I spoke to them...
Wayne Holland.
No. He said, first of all, he doesn't play for half the season. And when he does come back, he takes 3 or 4 games to get back into the swing of it. I'm looking at stats and I'm thinking they're not wrong, but they're a bit unfair because his goal and assist ratio is fantastic. I expected, I'll be honest with you, I think I put him down for 12 to 15 goals in this system and maybe 10, 12 assists, something like that. I really expected him to excel. He's got 4 goals.
Yeah.
4 goals. I think it's 6 or 7 assists this season.
Yeah.
No, he's hired a player who likes to have space and put him in a system that he's devised where it's like Piccadilly Circus and there's no space for him to operate.
It's like Piccadilly Circus at Christmas time.
It's so congested.
So congested, yeah. You can throw a blanket over the midfield. You've said this multiple times,
Yeah.
We have a question from the Hotspur Hood. Good to see you, Danny. Hopefully you're well, buddy. Good to see you, mate. Do you think he's already losing the dressing room?
I think there are players there that...
I think players like Romero have lost. He's lost.
Well, they are conflicted. I think the players are conflicted because they quite like him as a person, but I think they're questioning the system. And I think he needs to question the system, and he needs to question what he's doing, right? You know, it worked in Japan, it worked in Australia, it worked in Scotland. This is the Premier League. Note the word Premier. Premier players, Premier managers.
Yeah.
You need a Premier system. You can't come in with your, I've reinvented football that no one else has done, and you're being exposed. And you're being exposed week in and week out. When we go 2-0 down against a good team, that's the end. Have the ball, do what you want, and you can carry on playing your horseshoe football.
So another question from Scott Nelson. Was Arne Slot your first choice? And yes, it was.
Yeah, so
Gallardo was Stell's first choice as well.
I've got to be honest with you. My very, very first choice was Gallardo, right? A River Plate, but it wasn't. I knew it wasn't going to happen. So yes, Arne Slot. I was banging that Slot drum for weeks on end, and then when we all thought he was coming, I was so excited. He's vocal. He interacts with his players. His players love him. There's a balance between really attacking football and knowing how to defend. I thought he was going to bring with him Geerstrude, who I really wanted Spurs to sign, who plays as a 6, a DM, as a right back or as a right centre back. He's got that, that flexibility. And I thought Slot was fantastic. The only thing I would say about Slot going to Liverpool, it's a huge shoes to fill. We all saw what happened to David Moyes when
he's got that character. He's got that character, Arne Slot. If you've watched him doing his dressing room, he's got a lot of character. He's got a lot of aura about him. He's got this gusto. He's got this massive belief in himself.
I just think that Slot will be.
I think he'll slot right in.
I think he will slot right in. Yeah, he is the slot machine. He's the slot machine. Look, Edwards really knows what he's doing. They bought him back. He's now going to be in control, and he's bought a very good man. I'm not sure if Salah will stay or not, but 100% Ashraf.
Yeah,
100%.
Yeah. I've got to go through these because I've got to get going to the Midlands in a couple of minutes. We'll go through the rest of the questions.
Right, so 100%, yes.
Yeah. Is Ange given till next season, or will it be? I give him till December. I concur. I would give him to December. Let him have his window. But like I said before, only back him 70%. Yeah, bring players that's going to suit the system.
Bergvall is going to be the game changer.
And we've got Stevenson has. We've had multiple comments like that. We'll go to the last question from Mr. Stell saying, "Question: Johnny and Ben, when going through the tough, Arteta, the owners came out and backed Arteta publicly, and that's when Trust the Process was born. Why? Where is our ownership speaking? They're not.
Well, listen, the game's still. You got a good point, but do remember one thing. When it was going Pete Tong, the fans marched onto Arsenal, and Kroenke Jr. came out.
Yeah,
and he pledged, we are going to support Arteta and we're going to back him financially. Yeah. And they did. And it all turned round.
But also what Arsenal did have, what they did have was they had a massive protest.
That's what I'm just saying. That's what I'm saying.
A massive protest. And then they had an ownership that was ready to take over the club, and that was the guy that owns Spotify, who's also an Arsenal fan, and he wants.
But the backing. Look, Kroenke's wife is the heir to the Walmart billion, so we're talking about serious money. But my point here is,
there was an owner that wanted to take over that also has loads of money, and that pushed them because that said, if we don't back them, they're going to tear the club apart. So they started backing them, and then they realised backing the manager worked, and then they did it, and it's great. Brilliant.
Well, listen, look, I've got to say, does he need to come out? He needs to come out and say something, but he needs to be backed. We've already seen the first comment, Stel. If we get it's a often dragged out comment. you know, if we get Champions League, there's one budget, and if we get Europa League, there's another budget, which basically tells you we can't spend as much this summer because of the budget. Look, last year, Levy was going around trying to raise finance in the city. I told everyone, no one listened. He's trying to do it now. Whether if this money comes in, it will be used to spend on players or just go into Levy's pocket, I don't know. But unless we're going to go out and spend 250 million this summer and on major players, then we are, Ange will be out the club, I reckon, by December.
Absolutely.
I hope not, but I think he will be.
Yeah, I concur with you. And to end the show off, we have a super chat from the Joracle himself. Good to see you, Jory. Hopefully you are well. Good to always listen to your opinions. He's saying the players are looking for guidance and Ange is not offering it. Likely because he ain't got the answer. So yes, most of the squad have turned on him. But we will wait and see. We've got.
Can I just say there, because I know you've got to go. When I look at my manager on the touchline and it's all going wrong, do I want to see my manager sat there with his hands in his pockets playing pocket billiards? No, right? When you're 1-0 down and it's going wrong, address it there and then. Don't wait until half time, 30, 40 minutes later when we're 2 or 3-0 down. It's too late, okay? And give them a bollocking at half time and then expect them to come out. Anyway, listen, guys, thanks very much.
We've had over 400 people watching on both YouTube and Twitter. So another gentle reminder, please subscribe to Tottenham on Tour and subscribe to Tottenham on Tour's second channel, which is, of course...
And my Twitter, wherever that is.
And, of course, Johnny, where can we find you?
Here, give me a follow on Johnny H32.
I can't do it with this. I've got to do this and do that.
I've been out of practice, but there you go.
There we go.
Give me a follow there. And there's a link there to my Instagram, which I'm trying to build back up after having it removed. It's Liverpool on the weekend. God only knows. But this is Spurs. Anything can happen. But
anything can happen. Brilliant stuff.
I was once at Liverpool away when we lost 7-0. I've experienced it all. I was at Derby when we lost 8-2. I've seen it all, but right now I'm feeling demoralised.
We will find out. But thank you all so much for watching today's show. Have a brilliant rest of your day. And as always, if you smell what the
come on, you Spurs
is brewing. Thank you all so much for watching. And as always, because we're going to do it just for Brian, leave it out. Have a great weekend. Ciao for now.